finding your groove. What does it mean? How do you do it? Why should you do it? And any other tangents we can go on is what we're going to break down on this episode. So if I can actually stay coherent, let's go get into it. What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast. I am John. That is Dave. And today, we're going to ramble on about finding your groove. And there's lots of aspects to it, but you should take time to find your potential, not your potential, but your own groove in life. Like everybody's groove, if you want to define that as like your happiness or just where you think things are good in life. Whatever that means for you, it's going to be different for each person. My groove's different from Dave's groove, and how we get there is going to be different. So it's interesting and important to take time to think about it. So that's what we're going to aim to do today. For me, my groove has kind of been put on hold for a few years. So I'm very much just kind of figuring myself out again. And if I give Dave a second to talk, I'm sure you've got your own things to say about your groove.
I mean, what's a groove?
Your idea of your life going well. Your idea of...
Oh, like you in the flow. Okay, cool. I agree.
Your groove, your flow, your mojo, your...
Everything's crazy.
I mean, everybody's idea of it's different, no?
This is true. You're...
There's multiple planes you can talk about it on. Your groove at work, your groove in relationships, your groove...
I guess for me recently, the groove has kind of been a solo venture, more so than anything to do with relationships necessarily. I think it's quite important to kind of allow yourself to be in your proverbial groove, or to be motivated and to be keeping it moving. For me, realistically, it's just making sure that everything at work is sweet. Obviously, working in the fitness industry, it's client-based, so just making sure that I have the right clients in the right places to build solid weeks, but also making sure I have enough time in those weeks to actually do things for me. So, biggest telltale sign that I am in the groove is when my training's on point. When I'm in the gym at least 3 times a week, getting sort of really decent caliber of sessions, that's normally a telltale sign that I'm on the right place, in the right point. Because that's when I feel my best. Is when I actually I'm feeling stronger. I feel more motivated. That's the happier factor. That's normally a big old sign for me that we're in the right place and we're kind of in the attack mindset, dare I say, of just getting things done and keeping things moving.
So, if we're talking in the sense of like work and kind of things like that, I suppose it's easy to quantify that aspect because you've got targets. Like in your case, you've got clients. Did you hit enough clients? Or just in general, did you make enough money to pay your bills?
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've made enough money to pay your bills, it probably means you're living within your means and you're doing all right. But if we dial this all the way back to what you said at the very beginning of your kind of breakdown of your own groove, it starts with that thinking about what makes your groove. Like, you could go through the motions, you could go to work, you could get that done or whatever else. But if you haven't, you can even have some time to yourself. You can spend that in many different ways. But for you, you've anchored onto that action of going to the gym. That makes you feel good. That makes you feel like you are...
Yeah. I mean, like, I think for me the easiest way to summarize it is balance. When things feel balanced, that's when I'm truly in the groove. Because the balance is going to breed the routine that drives the progression. You know, have I got the right mix of work, working on myself, socializing, and downtime? They're the 4 biggest components that are going to keep me moving.
But see, this is kind of what gave me the idea for this episode. So, thinking about this, to me, each one of those is a different groove. So I very much compartmentalize. So when I go to work, I'm like, cool, work groove. And say, do you know that game of like a ball maze? the old wooden ball maze you get, and you follow around. It's essentially like that. So to me, that's how I process this and how I process my groove, and I can literally move that kind of ball of my mind and put it in each groove now because I've compartmentalized so much. And
that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to have them separated like that. I think like in my kind of mind, it makes a lot of sense, and there's probably an element of that in myself. But if something's out of whack, they all feel rubbish.
Yeah.
And that's why, to me, they all combine into the one thing, right? Because, for example, if I haven't had enough downtime, if I've been working quite a lot and, using my free time to do a social stuff, which happens sometimes, and I haven't really had that moment to myself where I need to catch my breath, I wouldn't carry that into the week, and that's when the frustration will begin. Because the mind will be tired, so the body will be tired, so then the training's going to start going out of whack. And I'm just going to want the downtime.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look for any excuse just to go shut down for a minute because I've just had enough. And that proverbial social battery needs to recharge, right? So they all formulate into the one thing for me. Because when they have all tuned in well and dialed in, things are moving. And they move better than you even realize at times. You're just good. You know what I mean? Like you have that good level. Your energy is good. Your mentality is good. You don't really see the negativity anymore. But things are just, the cogs are turning. You're progressing. You're just moving through.
So, to me, again, like my mind is
telling me no.
But my body.
Yeah, probably.
So my mind visualizes this very much as like a kind of that wooden maze I was describing in the first place, right? But now think of each one of these aspects of life: work, personal, relationships, friendships, whatever kind of aspect you want is its own essential like racetrack. And it can be positive or negative, like you're saying. And the more often you send a ball down whatever track that is, i.e. you choose to take positive actions in your work and you decide to say good morning to everybody and be uplifting and da-da-da, instead of going like, oh, I've got another day of work and begrudge it and blah, 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 blah. And you deepen that groove of positivity, it's easier to slip into that groove at other times or at will. You can consciously move it and be like, cool, I can focus on like the happy bits, da 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 da. Like for me, I work a very much solo job where it's literally you've got a job, do it, go home. So I can kind of dial in and kind of retreat within myself, and I often spend the time listening to books or podcasts and kind of just finding the good within that situation. And I've done that so much that I don't necessarily see work as a bad thing. I'm like, oh cool, I've got a chance to actually stop and listen to something and da 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 da.
Definitely.
So it's so much easier. So then when you do that across the board, you've got so many more balls that kind of go towards that pile of positivity, that social battery that you're talking about at the end of the week, at the end of the day, where you can say, cool, I either feel full or depleted.
Yeah.
And if you've had X amount of, you've had a rough week at work and it's just gone down the negative channel, you've had people cancel on you or no shows or just things have gone awkward, there's been traffic every day because there's literally roadworks everywhere at the minute.
Right.
Like if you've had that negative pot filled up at the end of the week, you feel rubbish.
Yeah.
To keep this PC. But
I feel nasty.
I only feel nasty. But then if you're not conscious of that, like the more aware of it you are, you can be like, okay, cool, I'm not having a bad life. I'm just having a bad week and this is why. And again, it dials back to that thinking about it and actually taking that time to be like, okay, what is my groove and how do I find it? It all starts with that initial thought, that initial breakdown of like, where do I want those kind of balls of life to go? And unless you start with that kind of thinking and that thought process, you're always going to, I suppose, struggle to get any ball rolling or have any kind of will over your mindset. The deeper and the more attention you spend to kind of carving out those grooves, the easier it is to find them out. And then once you find them, you can put other people in that groove. Like, obviously, so when I do like morning motivational messages and things like that, just to freaking people, you don't always realise how much a small act can pay forward.
That's a good one.
So like, I see my friend for the last time earlier today, and like even he was like, I always look forward to our catch ups and da 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 da, but because he's about to move, I didn't realize how much it was like. I can either come to you and decompress at the week, or I can come to you and celebrate at the end of the week, and da da da. And that in itself is a superpower because I've got that iron will where it's like I refuse to kind of let somebody else put me in their groove. Unless it's a groove that aligns with mine, get out of here, man. Like, and because you're like that, you're like, cool, if you need to vent, vent. But eventually, you're going to have to roll down one of these avenues of positivity because this is where I live.
100%. 100%, man. You've got to be like that. You've got to have a more positive outlook. Like,
but it's a slow road to get there, no? You've got to carve that road slowly.
but the actual phrase in the groove in itself is a more of a positive than a negative phrase. Like if someone's having a rough time, you don't hear them say, "I'm in my groove." You would probably hear them say, "I'm not at the races" or "I'm well off."
Yeah.
Because
I'm out of it.
it's not
I'm not all
positive.
here.
Yeah, I'm not functioning. Like I ain't trained properly. I ain't done no work on my own stuff. Work's been a bit of a grind and everything like that. I'm not in my groove. I'm well off the balance.
Yeah.
And that's why the balance comes really important in my head. Because if it's slightly out of whack, you can work on that and you can fix it. Everything else outweighs it, right? But once a couple of dominoes fall, that wheel becomes a square and it's all become a mess. But that's, you're not firing like you should be.
The thing is as well, like, because you have a conscious idea of an ideal week, you've got something to compare it to. So when you're feeling rough or when you're feeling out of the groove or you're not feeling yourself, you're down in the dumps and da-da-da-da-da, you have a checklist that you can run through and you can go, okay, cool. Have I trained? Have I done this? Have I done that? You good?
I'm good. Trying to stifle a sneeze.
Fair play. 4 years polluting the airways again.
Just makes me think about Eminem lyrics. I'm polluting the airwaves. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel in there. But nobody listens to techno. Let's go.
That's actually an interesting part of it, yeah. Because you have that same sense of finding that groove with music.
Right? 100%.
So like,
the variable music in the variations of mood.
But not just that, right? Think about how many song lyrics you have in your head. You could probably...
I'm the wrong person to come to with that because my brain is just full of useless information.
But let me run this through, yeah? So now, if you've got that... You can call on a certain amount of song lyrics. You might be able to piece together, say, 30-40% of the song. Even that might be a few songs that you can do that to. But now, if that song starts playing, the beat's going and everything else, and you've got something to help you align with that groove, you know the lyrics like the bloody singer themselves. Or, well, you might ramble them, or you've got the enthusiasm of that.
And that's what counts.
Yeah, exactly. I got the passion. That's all that matters. So having that, that same thing is like with behaviour. So when you've got somebody that's just like, yeah, I'm partying over here, eventually you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to jump on that friggin' bandwagon and go for it. But it's a mental trick that you can learn. You know that there's certain people that if you're down in the dumps, you can go around and they're going to bring you up no matter what. There's certain people that you can see that they can pop up out of nowhere and you're happy to see them. And no matter what you're doing, you'll drop everything to see them. And it's something that we don't often sit and think about. So it's easy to lose sight of how powerful it is and kind of how much those moments kind of bring us back to ground and da-da-da. I seen my mate the other day that we've been friends for 20 years, you know? We haven't got a single photo together. And I think that's a typical man thing to do, just in general, to be fair, you know?
Yeah.
But bro, genuinely, how many close brothers have you got? But me and you don't even have a picture side by side, not that I can think of. No. You're the godfather of my daughter. And we don't have a picture together.
Nah.
Is that not nuts?
Yeah, no, but bro, I think about my other bro, I think I've maybe got a couple, but they would have been from secondary school days. Very, very few were actually together, in the same photo.
But that's the thing. But as soon as I see that person, I'm straight back to like I'm a teenager again, and like, oh, do you remember this time? Talking about old days, new days, da da da. I don't have a picture of the guy to be like, that's my friend.
Yeah.
But as soon as you see that person, you're straight back into that avenue of life, and you're like, yes, oh, this person makes me so happy, da 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 da. Like, that is a powerful thing, and I think so many people have that effect on people, but they're just unconscious about it. And I think as well, some people are afraid to show how much other people mean to them, because you've got that side of like, oh, I don't want to lose people, da 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 da. So like, when you can genuinely be like, I am so happy to see you, and da da. Like, I used to think it was awkward because I didn't grow up, like when we was kids, there was like family photos and everything else. But after that, we weren't really like photo people. So into my adult life, I'm not really that kind of photo moment. Da, da, da. It wasn't until I become a dad where it's like, cool, I want to capture moments. But then I only put that on dad moments. And now I'm kind of finding my John groove again. I'm like, well, what about all the moments with friends and all the moments with like these people that I'm never going to see again or whatever else? And I don't have something to look back on and be like, oh, I just want to go down that memory lane of like this people, those moments or whatever else. And like taking that time to actually think about it and like think about those people that do help you find your groove and find the kind of parts of you that make you, that it's important. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent there. I'm trying to relate it back, but it is important to take that time to kind of remember what makes you, especially like in my situation, I ended up devoting myself to my daughter and making her my main focus, and between her and work, I didn't know whether I was coming or going, so there wasn't any time for John. So now finding that time again and kind of realizing all of that, it's literally like having to recarve those grooves and be like, okay, cool, remember to socialize, remember to check in on people, it's okay to reach out and da 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 da. Where it's like, because for the most part I've been pushing people away because I'm busy, I've got stuff to do, da da da. It's hard to remind yourself sometimes to take that time to let these people back in, recarve those grooves that you've neglected and that have filled in. And
definitely, man. I mean, look at how hard I was working at certain points, doing like 60-hour weeks.
I mean, look at security where we're literally working around the clock.
When we moved into fitness, look how it went for me. You know, you start kind of with an easier route, and then all of a sudden you're doing hybrid roles and working 12 to 15-hour days, killing yourself, like smashing yourself up into the ground, barely eating, barely functioning, barely training. And then I get to a point where actually my schedule's pretty good. I've let go of a lot of responsibilities. I'm happy to live within my means. So it's like, oh, I have a lot of time. Even though at the end of my week, I'm like, well, I've worked a fair bit. I've been busy. I still have 2 like quite long days in my week, and you know, like 5 days a week. But you're still like, yeah, but you also had like a whole bunch of time in your week. Because even on those long days, you've got some gaps in there. Like you got some time to do some stuff for you now, not anyone else.
Yeah,
like, that becomes so very focal for me. That's why I said like, I think grooves are incredibly personal, and that shouldn't really be impacted by others too much. There will be points where they will, especially if you end up in relationships and things like that and you have significant others, then fine. You will kind of adapt your grooves with each other. Right? It's part of the parcel. But even then, most of it is very personal. You can't just rely on your partner to be like, hey, you got this, let's go train. It's like, no.
In that,
like, I'm going to go do this because this is my thing. You know what I mean?
In that sense, yeah. But like, so literally just like what I was saying with little one, I'm able to now find my groove again because she started school and I've got some time back where I've got guilt-free time by myself where I can go train, I can go for a walk, I can work on stuff and do whatever I need to do. Where it's, I can do that because her groove in life has kind of got a bit deeper. She's spending more time outside in the world, away from me and away from her mum, and just enjoying kind of exploring the world. But because she's deepening that groove in her life, I can deepen my groove back in finding out who I am when I'm not with her. Do you know what I mean? Like, and because obviously being a single dad and it is my time is heavily dependent on her. But like you're literally saying with managing your schedule, I've now got some time back there where I've got less time that I have to devote to somebody else in that sense, and it's different as well when you're talking about like from a parent's perspective, because there's going to be so many single parents out there that are struggling to manage their time and this, that, and Obviously, they want to find time for themselves in between working, in between school runs, in between this, that, and everything else. And sometimes it feels like you're robbing from Paul to pay Peter, and you're literally just shuffling the puck about. But there are gaps in it, and there are little things that you can do to find 5 minutes for yourself, and kind of, it's not necessarily going to start with a whole day to yourself, but it starts with small acts of like remembering who you are, taking those moments, whether it be as a parent or lowering your schedule with work or whatever else, to slow down and be like, okay, cool. What makes me me again? Do I want to listen to an album that I haven't listened to in a while? Do I want to catch up with a friend, or do I want to go for a walk in a park, feed some ducks, or whatever it may be? Just taking that time when things do slow down to actually take a conscious thought about yourself. Do you know what I mean? Right? It's easy to lose sight of that and just be like, okay, cool. I'm this person that's got to work 60 hours a week, be a parent, change nappies, do school runs. And it's easy to lose sight of the fact that you're a person that's living an experience and has wants, dreams, and passions, and da 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 da. I think it's so easy for people to forget that.
Absolutely. That's a big reason, like we touched on previous episodes, why people aren't happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they forget what actually, A, they forget what it feels like, and B, they forget how.
Do you know what as well? I think they don't ask themselves, they ask everybody else.
Everyone is so easy to autopilot. Like, people are so fixated into routines, they forget.
Do you know what as well?
You know what I mean? Like a Monday to Friday. Think of a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I wake up at the same time, 5 days a week. I take the same journey, 5 days a week. See the same people, 5 days a week. Clock in at the same time, 5 days a week. Do pretty much the same duties 5 days a week. So how robotic that is. There's no time to be happy. There's no time to even contemplate it because you're just so absorbed by the same surroundings.
But see, this is the back end of the negative side of the groove, where you can fall into that autopilot aspect where you're not thinking about what you're doing consciously. You're not thinking about time to yourself. You're just thinking about what you've got to do. You end up being a robot, whether it be a corporate robot or a family robot.
For me, the social and the downtime become important. Because the social aspect is random. You can plan things with your friends and your loved ones, but there's still an element of random. It's never going to go exactly how you think it is in your head.
No.
The conversation is always going to be random. The moments are going to be random. The memories you make are going to be different. Like, it's always going to be different. Right?
If you've got interesting friends, at least, anyway.
100%. And the downtime is really important to actually absorb where you are. And that's why, for me, downtime is like so important. Like, yeah, I do need some time away from people. That's just who I am. I'm both sides of that introvert-extrovert fence. I can be in front of thousands of people, don't care. But at a certain point, go away. Leave me alone. I need to return to the cave and chill out for a bit. Because that's my decompression time. I could be watching something mindlessly, but in the back, the cogs are turning and going, hey man, do you know what? Like, look at what you've done. Like, run through your week. Well, what did you do this week? Okay, you put the effort in at work, but my job is kind of unique in a sense. I get to socialize when I work. So I get to see where all my guys are at. They're all kind of friendly with me now. I've trained them for a while. So that's quite a nice thing. What else do you do this week? I actually done some golf stuff for what I do. Sweet. How did it do? Well, I got this many views. Great job. You know what I mean? What did you do for fun? Who was you with? What did you do? What did they do? What did you celebrate? What did you enjoy? What wasn't good? And it's like, that's the bit where you go, okay, this isn't robotic anymore. Even though it does look largely similar week on week, there are still the subtle variances where you go, that was a good week.
So there's two things that I want to touch on, and just to try to keep me on track. The second one's golf. The first one is something you said there, which gave me a kind of insight, which I'm going to try to apply to myself, which is, how many people decompress after a bad day?
They don't.
But for argument's sake, right, if you've had a bad day, you're normally somewhat aware you need to take 5. Yeah? You literally said it yourself. You literally said it yourself, right? If you're... Let me get through it.
You got to get through this, have you?
Oh, you're going to set me off.
I'm not laughing for that, you're lucky.
So most people will take 5-10 minutes to decompress after a bad day, or try to at least. They'll have some awareness that they're frustrated and they need to decompress, right?
Don't necessarily think it's actually running through it though. I think that's more of a, I just need to stop feeling this. Like a 5 minute, 10 minute decompression after a bad day is probably just sitting there for a second and going. It's not actually diving it and going,
Oh
what
no,
went wrong?
I just remember that I'm not talking about diving it right here. Huh? How many people do you reckon do that after a good day?
Very few.
Exactly.
And it's something I love doing.
But that's the thing. And
I
how valuable
love
is that
doing
time?
it.
Like sitting in that smugness of a good day.
That is the word. There's like an arrogant smugness.
Yeah. Just like I've
There
had
is an
a
arrogant
good day.
grin where I lay down and I'm like, oh, especially if it's like a really long day, and I'm literally just gonna go home and sleep and we keep it moving. There's still that 5 minutes where I lay down and I go, it was a sick day. Mm-hmm. Why? Wow, this was banging. Done that with this person. I've done this amount of things here. Like, done this. And you just run through it and you go, man, I'm blessed. Like, I'm absolutely blessed. And I'm gonna pass out now because I'm knackered. But it's the best kind of knackered because I went 110 for all the good reasons.
But then, how good does that moment of reflection make you feel? Like it literally is like kind of semi-experiencing all of those moments again. Where it,
Literally is.
whereas, how many people are literally just like, oh, I'm exhausted from doing
But this is
all of this.
But this is the thing that's funny though, right? Is like I just thought about this randomly now, right? Mm-hmm. Like obviously I have quite a few nights out here and there, right? The one thing you do when you see that person again is decompress the night out. Mm-hmm. Do you remember this? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I can't believe we done that. That was jokes. Well, that was a bit savage. Well, that's the lowest I've ever been. You know what I mean? Like you go through the whole thing, right? Mm. How many friends actually buck each other for a coffee in the week and go, I had a good day Monday. What happened? Do you know what? Work was solid. I had 5 clients in a row, 6 sessions. They were all solid sessions. And then went and done this, hit a PB on this, had a banging lunch. Like, they don't.
And this is
They don't. Like, right? but they'll run for a bad day so fast. And it's like, I don't want to talk about that. You know the one there? Like, hey, if it helps, sure. But like, really?
I think it's because, especially like, at least where we live and the kind of, the way society is at the minute, even like we said, like that smugness of a good day, that's how it comes across. As you're being smug or arrogant if you're like bragging about some. I know, but
I'm the guy who literally walked into work the other day just shouting it's a wonderful day, like the damn ape from Planet of the Apes.
100%, right? But then, bro, how many people are genuinely happy to see somebody else enjoying life these days? It's a sad thing to say that not everybody wants to see other people win. Mm. There are some people out there that, for one reason or another, they're just negative Nellies, and they can't wish good on anybody. Mm. Those people exist in the world, unfortunately.
Indeed.
So, like, actually taking the time to realize you're having a good day and this, and just even making somebody else's day brighter for it. Like, there are people that will see you having that good day and be like, good on him. Like, yeah, well done you, go you.
I love that.
And they're the people that you need to, like, resonate with and keep in your life and build relationships
on that, man. Like, that's good energy.
But it's not everywhere.
Oh, God.
And it's something that you need to learn to look for, because there are people that will come around when you've got that good energy and they're like, cool, that's either something I can feed off or whatever. But then you don't want the people that want to feed off that. You want the people that want to celebrate that with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're similarly wired in that, man. We both have friends where they'll be having bad times or whatever and they can't see a way out of it. But then they come to us and it's like they hit a brick wall. Because I'll sit here with you, but I'm not going to sit in negativity.
Oh, trust.
We're going to find something good about this whole situation. Now, sometimes there ain't no good, man. There's things that happen in the world. We're not going to try and search for it. But I'm going to give you a different perspective on it, which is, hey, it's cool. It's rubbish. It's not a nice vibe. Mm-hmm. But are you alive? Yeah. Do we keep moving? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that difference. Because that idea in itself is a positive. I know it gets spun a bit more these days on social media when it comes across highly toxic, that whole kind of, you always move forward, never backwards, rat-tat-tat. But sometimes it's the right mentality. Like, if a situation is just rubbish and there's no wind, the positive there is, hey man, we can still move. Like, you've got a chance to go and just keep going. Like, sweet. It will get better.
So I was thinking about this earlier, right? So I was literally, it's going to sound a bit nutty, but...
No, you?
Yep. I was laying in the field, literally just laying, like, sunbathing, right? And all I could hear around me was some birds chirping, some crickets, the odd plane flying over. But I'm literally just laying there, eyes closed, just relaxed, right? Simply with my thoughts. And then I'm thinking about all of the sounds I can hear around me, like everything, all of the stimuli that although that I'm trying to be still in the moment, there's still crickets chirping, birds singing, planes taking off, people going on holiday, people coming back from holiday, people going to work in that moment, people in all mannerisms of life.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm there in that moment just trying to be still. Right? And it's very rare. Like, I think that in itself is a luxury that I've only just kind of started to regain. But having that moment to actually just realize that even if things are rubbish, or even if things are good, they're going to keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing you can do to stop it or change it or whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
So if times are bad, head down, shelter the storm. If times are good, enjoy it because it may not last forever. But finding the right people to share those moments with, whether it's ups or downs, that's going to be the key to any, especially if you need to relate it back, help finding your groove. Having people that have some deep grooves already kind of carved in there to their mindset is going to help you with your mindset because they are going to be the anchor that ain't going to snowball with you or deepen the negative grooves. They're going to pull you up and pull you.
That's a good way of looking at it. The groove is a mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is the definition to me. It's a mindset. It's just a positive mindset that is just reinforced with so many good things.
Mm.
Like it's just reinforced with like for example, what you just said about yourself. It's reinforced with the principle of I refuse to be negative. Like I refuse. Like yeah, life's gonna test me. Bad things happen. Annoying things happen. Yes, every now and then I'm gonna get a little bit annoyed about things, but I refuse to sit here in it.
Mm.
You see what I mean? That's a mindset. That's not routine. That's not robotic. That's just fundamental principle.
But this
and
is,
just sheer stubborn.
This is why I relate it to that kind of maze game because if you was to literally look at say your life is a carved square of wood, right? And every action that you take puts a different groove in that piece of wood. And life is always going to shake the board about. Though that ball is always going to be moving. Now, depending on how deep the grooves are, you could turn that board nigh on vertical, and if the groove is deep enough, the ball's still going to stay on the board. So if you're talking in terms of mindset, if your positive mindset is deep enough, somebody could try to turn your world upside down, but you're so deeply anchored in positivity that your ball isn't derailing. And that's what I mean when I say about finding your groove in each aspect of life, and each mindset and skill set is a different path that you carved. So the more positive grooves you have, the deeper that you carve them, the more stable your life is going to be overall. The more stable your game is, the easier it is for you to stabilize others because you don't have to worry about your board wobbling. Because your ball of life, that's staying on. So you can help other people carve their boards a little bit more. But in my mind, that's how it plays out. It is a board, a mental board of like, okay, this is how I'm going to operate life. When things shake, this is the groove I'm going to fall in. I'm going to find out what I'm grateful for. I'm going to figure out what's good in my life. I'm going to realize what I actually need to get through each day and how kind of low the bar for survival really is and how well I can cross that bar. Like all of these car payments, rents, mortgages, yeah, they're stressed, they're important in life. But hey, if you miss one of these payments or things ain't going well in that avenue, you've still got a beat in your chest. Life still goes on. Even if you've got debt, even if you're in a breakup, if your car's been hit, if whatever's happened, life still goes on. And having that deep groove to remind yourself, this is what you do when the board gets shaken in life, that is a massive skill in life.
I agree.
And probably a good point to end the episode before we go in too many circles. The seed for this episode is going to be find a simple way to give back. Whether it be saying good morning to somebody that looks like they're having a bad day, or donating to a charity, or telling somebody they look good today, or it's good to see that they're winning in life. No matter what small act it is, it can domino out into the world far bigger than you can think. Like your small acts of positivity could be the reason that somebody gets up in the morning. Somebody could genuinely be leaving the house just to say the person that says good morning to them every day when they're walking their dog. don't dismiss the small acts of kindness that people do, because they build up, and much like the groove of life, they add up, and eventually we'll all have a good life. All the best, and we'll catch you on the next episode.